So with a reduced risk, financial risk, of course, if determination statements go against the previous assessments. And of course, let's face it, talent shortage is not getting any better. It's going to continue to get worse, especially with people of retirement age and just generally, the lack of ability for movement of people through the EU to help with projects and jobs, of course, in the UK. So, given all of that, do you think then with this, these changes, we might see an increased appetite from businesses to reconsider their strategy for engaging with off-payroll workers?
Yeah, I think we're going to see the tide turn. We're already engaged with a number of clients and recruitment businesses who are aware of this change, and they want to understand it, and they're starting to unpick some of those decisions they made 3 years ago nearly now. It's like any change in legislation. The more people understand the new rules, the more best practice emerges, the more people try and comply with them. So that's good. I think this is a trigger now for people to go back and reassess some of those decisions they might have made, particularly businesses that made the risk-averse decision to no longer work with limited company contractors. Some of those have seen cost spiral, some of them have seen projects being delayed, some of them have seen them not being able to get hold of the talent that they need or want at the cost they're willing to pay. That they are levers enough in my mind to go back to the underlying issue behind that, which is the decision that was made around limited company contractors. So I think best practice is emerging. People are realising that IR35 is something that can be managed. It's over-egging it to say it's just a process. It's more than just a process, but at the heart of it, it's just another business process. Get the right advice, get the process in place and continue to improve it and review it, and HMRC will nudge you through. So I certainly think the tide will turn. I also think that the other models in the market come with their own risk, and it's worth us just touching on those. So I think there's still, you mentioned people, may have moved abroad, may have retired early because they can't use a limited company and benefit from that anymore. That has happened, but the majority of the professional contractors, let's call them, that work through a PSC, have moved into being paid through umbrella companies or other payment intermediaries that purport to be an umbrella company but are doing something a little dodgy. And there's tax avoidance happening in those supply chains. Some of it is actually tax fraud. Mini umbrellas is a big hot topic for HMRC at the moment. As an end client, under the Criminal Finance Act, you've got an obligation to manage compliance risks throughout your supply chains and make sure that you've got processes in place to prevent the facilitation of tax evasion. So you might think you've solved an IR35 headache, but you may have created opportunity for tax evasion in supply chains through payment intermediaries that you may not see. So again, it's a good time to have a think around what engagement methods are you going to allow in your labour supply chains and how are you going to manage those risks. At a bigger level than IR35, I think some businesses probably need to have a think through that as well.
So potentially businesses out there thinking, hey, we are protected, we don't have any off-payroll contractors, no worry about IR35 because everyone's working through umbrella companies or some other intermediary. They potentially haven't got a full understanding of how those companies work. There's some contractors out there going, hey, I got an umbrella company that's giving me 90% take home, which is great, or something that you might well be able to find on a Google search. And actually that's tax fraud. And then the client is then going to, if investigated, it would be responsible there.
Exactly right. Yeah. So the Criminal Finance Act is a little known piece of legislation. It's probably been around 4 or 5 years now. HMRC have got a number of active cases. We're in the 20s and 30s, so it's not that prevalent. But a good proportion of those are in labour supply chains. So it is a sector of the market that HMRC think there is tax avoidance, probably tax evasion at the far end of the scale. And if they see that, they're going to use all their powers to try and get the money back. So a holistic view on risk is probably where you'd want to start, rather than just focusing on this IR35 thing that's a bit scary.